All right, we're not live yet. Are we live? Really? Okay, perfect. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Ask Jun the Groomer Live. Today is February 9th, 2017, Thursday, February 9th. Thank you so much for being the first one to join and comment, Daniel Brown. Good day to you, too. From New Zealand. Wow. Dog sun cream to put on dogs. I love your show. It's awesome. I watch. You know what? I never thought about that because I remember watching an episode of Dog Whisperer and Caesar Milan put some sunscreen on a skin, like a hairless, one of those hairless dogs, and he was saying you have to protect their skin from the sun. But I forget which one, and I don't want to say the wrong thing. That's a really good question, Daniel Brown. I'm going to write that down, actually. And you know what? Let me screenshot that. And then I'm going to get back with you on that question. Hold on one second here. Utilities. And then, okay, so everybody, oh my goodness, 1, 2, 3. Okay, Kimmy. Hello, Jane. Hi, Kimmy. How are you? Coco the Toy Poodle, how are you? Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Cat for Animals. How are you, Cat for Animals? You caught me this time. Perfect. Okay, I got a really good show planned. Hopefully it goes as I went over it in my head. But hold on one second. Selection. Perfect. So Daniel Brown, I went ahead and got a screen capture of your question. So I'm going to get to that next week. So what I wanted to discuss today is the Golden Triangle of Grooming. So my wife and I were just talking, and wife's idea, honestly, she's kind of the brains of the operation here. So, but anyways, I thought it was brilliant. So I wanted to share this. And hopefully the sound and everything will be okay. But let me see. Where did I put the marker? Oh no, where did I put the marker? Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, so anything we do, and there's an episode that I think if you're a professional groomer and you like to draw inspiration from other artists and other other people who are great at their craft, watch a show called The Chef's Table. Season 2, episode 2. There's a Brazilian chef named Alex Atala, and I love cooking. So I'm going to draw a cooking analogy here. So when we're cooking, let me get another one here. Plating the food. Plate. Hold on one second. Okay. Plate, and then cook. Mix, and then okay, so this triangle represents time. The time spent. Oh my goodness, is that too much glare? I'm trying to work on lighting and get a little better lighting, but I think it's causing too much glare here. Oh my goodness, I should have went over this. Okay, perfect. So time. This triangle represents time, right? And when we're cooking a dish, plating the dish takes the least amount of time. When you're cooking, and if it's like a salad, and you're just mixing the ingredients, not really heating it up. But whatever you're doing, that part takes a little bit less longer than the plating. And then what takes the most time is the mise en place, which means everything in its place. And Chef Alex talks about this. I wanted to write this down. This quote. He says, when training to be a chef, they learn that the most important moments of the day will be the mise en place, which is the prepping, the washing of the vegetables, the cutting, all of that, the cleaning of the meat, And then he says there's a chef named Roberta Sudbrock. Hope I got that right, Brazilian chef. And she says, our mise en place doesn't start in the kitchen. It starts on the farm and in nature. So it's all about the prep, and the prep doesn't necessarily start in prepping the ingredients. It's understanding where those ingredients come from and how they grow. Same thing with dog grooming. The prep in becoming a really good dog groomer doesn't necessarily start in the classrooms or at the trade shows, you know, taking those classes. It starts in learning about dogs, learning about, you know, where they come, their behavior, everything, what they're bred for. Another groomer that was giving a seminar about how much is enough to charge, she was actually talking about how getting an AKC book is probably the most important step to becoming a good groomer, or at least reading the AKC book, or, you know, reading the breed profiles, because understanding the breed history and why these dogs were bred to do what they do, and why they're supposed to look the way they're supposed to look. This is all the mise en place for groomers. This is all the prep. Anyways, so when we're cooking, this is cooking. So I'm drawing the analogy of cooking, just so we kind of get an idea of what this triangle means. So this triangle is not like step 1, step 2, step 3. It's actually just so you get an idea of how much time is being spent. So most time is spent on the mise en place, the prep, and then a little less time on the cooking and mixing of the ingredients. And then the least amount of time is spent plating the food, making it look nice on the dish before you serve it, before you present it. Now, let's just say that I was watching an episode of The Worst Chefs in America, The Worst Cooks in America, and it was interesting because a lot of these cooks, these amateur cooks, they're horrible cooks because they don't understand the prep. You know, why they need to clean the chicken this way, why they need to, you know, prep the vegetables this way, the cook times, all of this stuff. Let the pan get hot before you before you put the meat on there. Little things like that. So let's just say that this cook doesn't understand the importance of the prep, and so they spend a little time on the prep, and so then they spend a little more time. So the least amount of time spent on the prep, they spend a little more time cooking, and then they spend the most time trying to make the dish look pretty and plating it. Now this triangle is upside down and it's not able to stand. And so when you present the dish to the table, just like Chef Ramsay, when he goes, on Kitchen Nightmares, when he goes to these different restaurants, even though the dish looks nice when it's presented to him, and to the untrained eye, someone like me who will eat anything pretty much and be happy with it, you know, I'd be like, it's okay, you know, it's not my thing, but I don't really like it. But Chef Ramsay would tear it apart. But that's the thing. It's like it wouldn't stand up to the test of taste. So that's the importance of why it's more important to spend more time on the prep rather than the plating or anything up here. That way you have a solid foundation. So because you spent more time prepping and doing the cooking and then plating, now it has a very solid foundation, a strong foundation. And when you present it to the table, even if it may not look great, like a ratatouille or something, even though it may not look great, when you taste it, you taste fresh ingredients. You taste love, and that's the importance. And it stands the test of taste. Now, the next analogy I wanted to draw is painting a wall, because interestingly enough, when you watch The Chef's Table, season 2, episode 2, Alex Atala, when you watch about the chef, he actually started painting walls, and because he wanted to make money, and so he started as a wall painter. Interestingly enough, I have some experience with that, because when I first got my lease in Buckhead, I didn't know that you can negotiate for build-out money, so I had no money to pay any contractors or anybody professional to do the work. So I had to do all the remodeling and all the construction myself. So I learned how difficult it is to paint a wall. Before I didn't know. I thought you just buy paint and you put it on a wall. Here's why that would cause so much trouble. And because I didn't understand. So when you paint a wall, first you have to prep the wall, meaning sand it down, find the areas of the wall where it's not really great, maybe deteriorating a little bit, getting old and soft and moldy or things like that. Some of the walls may be damaged. You cut those sections out. You buy sheetrock, you get caulk and molding, and you sand it down, you prime it, and it's so much work, trust me. But that's the prep, and it takes so long. Once you're done prepping, then you can paint the walls. And that's actually the kind of fun part. I mean, it's not really that fun, but it's a little easier than the prep. And you're putting the new color on the walls finally. After you've done that, then you can do the finishing touches, the trims, the moldings, the crown moldings, the little finishing touches, and you have a finished wall. So you spend the most time doing the prep, right? A little more time doing the painting, and then the least amount of time doing the finish. So you spend the most time doing the prep, a little less time painting the walls, and then the least amount of time finishing the walls and doing the prep, doing the trim work. Now, let's say we reversed it. And let's just say that I didn't have a good friend to tell me, hey, wait a second, don't put that new paint on the wall just yet. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Let's just say I didn't have a friend to tell me that, and I just did it my own way, the way I thought that was the right way, without knowing any better. I spent a little time on the prep. I spend more time painting, so I spend a little time prepping. Maybe just get a clean or a wet cloth and just wipe the walls down clean. Just make sure the walls are clean. Spend more time painting the walls, and then I spend even more time doing the finish work and trying to hide all the blemishes. And maybe even the paint, the reason why it takes so long is because the prep work wasn't done right. And so I have to put more layers on the wall to try to hide all these blemishes. And then once I do that, then I got more work to do when I finish the wall. And now it doesn't have anything solid to stand on, and it's gonna wobble. And within a few months, the wall's gonna bubble and chip, and you're gonna see all kinds of damage done to the walls because, there wasn't a lot of time spent on the prep work. But if we do the prep and we do what's difficult and necessary before we do what's fun and easy, so we do what's difficult and necessary before we get to the fun and easy part, then we have a solid foundation here. And no matter what happens, over time, it stands the test of time, and the walls will still look nice. Now, you may be wondering, how does this relate to grooming? How does this relate to dog grooming? Well, with dog grooming, we have the haircut, right? And that's what everybody cares about, the haircut. That's what everybody sees. That's what everybody wants, is a nice haircut, okay? Before we can do the haircut, we have to wash and dry them, okay? Before we wash and dry them, there's some prep work that needs to be done. even if you don't believe in brushing a dog before you wash a dog, like I do, still you have to shave the pads, shave the sanding, check the ears. There's still some prep work that needs to be done, even if you don't believe in brushing the dog out before you wash them. Because anytime you shave the pads or sanding, any close shaving, that may cause the dog to get itchy. So you want to do it before the bath. So you got some prep work to do. And then you can wash and dry. And then you can finish with a haircut. Okay? So, and one of my clients, actually, one of my newer clients, Jennifer Lads, if you're watching this, shout out to Jennifer. But she was telling me that, oh my God, June, like 80% of your time, I spent like 7 hours grooming her dog. And she was like 80% of your time was spent brushing and combing. She was like, I had no idea. She was like, I watch your videos. You know, you say brush more, bathe less. You know, I see what you do, but it just never clicked. And to see that much dead hair come out of her dog, not just dead hair, but dander and all the stuff that was building up inside those pores in her dog's skin, as it was coming out, you could see the dog's relief, you know, and things you have to do it gently, and that's why it takes so much time, because you're going through the whole dog's body. So the prep work for me takes the longest, takes about 2 to 3 hours sometimes when it's a new dog that I've never seen before, when it's a new client. Sometimes the prep work, before I ever get the dog in the bathtub, takes about 2-3 hours. So for a new client. And then the wash and dry always takes about the same, about an hour, because first you gotta wet the dog, then lather him with shampoo, and that takes about 5-10 minutes. And you know, you gotta let the dog sit in the shampoo for a little bit, let the shampoo work. Then rinse time takes another 5-10 minutes. Then a conditioner, because I believe in always following up with conditioner to re-moisturize the skin, to protect the hairs, to just have a long-lasting, nice, good groom, you know, good results for a long time. I always follow up with conditioner. So another 5-10 minutes for the conditioner to sit, another 5-10 minutes to rinse. So that's like 20-30 minutes right there. And here's a good tip. I learned this from Pamela Lauritsen at the ISCC. She said up to 20 minutes is having the dog wet for up to 20 minutes is good. It's moisturizing. The water's moisturizing, it's healing, it's cleaning. After 30 minutes, it's no good. It starts drying out the skin. Just like we get pruned in the swimming pool when we're there too long, it starts to dry out the skin. So you don't want the dog in there for more than 30 minutes anyways in the bathtub. So the wash and dry takes about an hour, because about 30 minutes in the tub, about 30 minutes to dry the dog with the high velocity air dryer. And then the haircut for me takes about 30-40 minutes, usually. I mean, sometimes it takes about an hour, but a lot of times that's when I'm trying to perfect it and really nitpicking myself and trying to outdo myself. But if I'm in a rush and the customer really just needs to get going, I can get the haircut done in about 30 minutes. So really, about 2-3 hours for the prep, about an hour for the bath and dry, and then about 30 minutes for the haircut. For me personally. And that's why I believe my haircuts and my grooms stand the test of time. The dogs go out, they get dirty. The owners even wash the dogs in between sometimes without following my steps. But when I come back, the dog's not in bad shape. The skin is always looking better. Areas of the skin that, you know, like around the armpits and stuff that may be brown, that they were always chewing at, areas in their paws, they're not brown anymore. It's getting better. The dog's not chewing at it anymore. So I believe that this is the reason why. It's because my mise en place. My mise en place is the most important moments of my groom, to put it in Alex's words. Chef Alex, sorry. But to put it in Chef Alex Atala's words, my mise en place is the most important, you know, part of my groom, and it takes me the longest. And then when I'm mixing the ingredients, you know, and cooking the dog up, I shouldn't say that, but you know, when I'm washing the dog, it's easy. And it really doesn't take that much time because all the tangles are out, everything is worked out before the bath. And so during the wash and dry, you know, it's pretty easy. The dog dries easy. And then when I'm doing the haircut, literally everything falls in place because everything in its place, mise en place, because I followed the right steps. Now let's say, let's say I never met Pamela Lauritsen. Let's say I never met Michelle Knowles. I never went to any classes by Christina Pulaski or Scott Wasserman or Vera, I forget her last name, or Pina, or any of these pros, right? Let's say I never bothered to take the time to go learn from these people. Then I would groom the way I used to groom. before I learned anything. Well, before I learned from from these people. Um, my prep time was the least amount of time. And then I spent a little more time washing and drying, especially because I didn't do a good prep. So it would take forever to get the dog clean, and then it would take forever to dry them. And there would be hair flying everywhere around me, all over the room. And it takes forever, especially like a double-coated husky that's blowing coat. It would take forever washing and drying them. So prep time, not that much time. Let's say washing and drying takes longer. And then if I'm doing a haircut, it's going to take even longer because it's going to catch the clippers. It doesn't go smoothly through. It doesn't cut like butter, like you see in all those grooming videos. The reason why those professionals, it seems like it's just effortless, is because they've done a good prep. There's not all that dead undercoat in that dog's coat, and so the clippers don't catch. And so the haircut takes longer, and then trying to make it look presentable. So they spend a lot of time here, or I used to anyways. And so this is why my grooms never seem to stand the test of time. And it seemed like my clients' dogs with skin issues, it never got better. A lot of the dogs that we were doing summer shave downs on that was healthy before, we would start getting phone calls that a lot of stuff is happening to their skin. And it's because it can't stand the test of time, because there was not the right prep work done. So that's the importance of the Golden Triangle of Grooming. So in order to have a great groom that lasts and that stands the test of time, you want to spend more time. And so this triangle represents time. You want to spend the most time doing the prep work. And then you want to spend a little less time than that washing and drying. And then a little less time than that doing the haircut. And that's my triangle, my golden triangle of grooming. I hope it makes sense. And if it doesn't, then I'll take, be more than happy to try to elaborate on that. Hopefully I didn't take, okay, 20 minutes. All right. Let's get to some questions here. Okay. Coco the toy poodle. I want to groom my dog myself, but my dog doesn't behave. Okay, Coco the poodle, guess what? Next week, I have a special guest named Ian King. Ian King is a dog trainer that I've never met personally, like in person, physically met. But we've basically created a relationship over the internet, over Facebook, and just talking. And I had a phone conversation with him the other day, and I just really connect with this guy. But he has some amazing insights into dog behavior, dog training, and his real passion is helping people. And I love that, and I think that's why we connect so much. But he's coming on next week. So Coco the toy poodle, if you could come back next week, or give me, if you can't make it next week, go ahead and put your question, and then I'll ask him while I have him on the phone for next week's episode. But yeah, isn't that exciting? So next week I'm gonna have Ian King on the phone with me doing live Q&A, like answering a dog behavior question, because he's a dog behavior training expert. Okay. Andrea Berta. Hi, hey Andrea, how are you? Cat for Animals. Where's your IP? Here's my IPA. You got me. But okay, just kidding. Looking, and okay, before this, I actually had a double bock. And a double bock has a little hops in the end, but it's like really powerful. It's like 7.5% alcohol. And I just wasn't prepared for it. I drank it. Oh my goodness, my cheeks are red, my ears are red. So anyways, I was like, I got to go back to the pale ale. I got to go back to the IPA. Anyways, Charnes Tatum, hi. I have a problem with my dog's beard. It never lays down. It turned brown, but I'm not sure how to tame it. Do you have any? Okay. The reason why it's brown is because it's ready to come out. It's ready to go. There's no or conditioner or lotion or oil or anything that's going to bring that that hair back to life, and it turned it back to the color. What was it, black? I don't know, but whatever color it originally was, you're not gonna get. I mean, bleach won't even turn it white again. You know, once it's brown like that and fuzzy and dull and brittle, that hair's got to go. And you'll feel the texture. It won't be smooth and silky. It'll be kind of brittle to the touch and gritty kind of feeling. You just got to pull that hair out. And I know that sounds horrible and bad. It comes out easily. And the dog actually is relieved. The dogs kiss me while I'm doing it. They're like, oh my God, somebody that understands me. They start licking my beard because they're like, oh my God, let me groom you too, you know? So we sitting there grooming each other. Anyways, it's gonna look bad for a little bit because it's gonna kind of maybe look bald and patchy because you're pulling all that. Once it's out of the pores, the follicles get that signal, hey, we're empty, let's make new fresh hair. So new fresh hair starts to grow in its place, and it'll have the original color of your dog's coat. It'll be nice and silky and sealed. It won't be frayed and open, wide open to bacteria and moisture and all of that stuff. It won't hold on to the moisture and all the bacteria. It's sealed, so it'll repel it off. And from then on, all we got to do is be careful to always use conditioner rather. And if you're gonna skip one or the other, skip shampoo. Don't skip conditioner. And that protected, and keep the hair sealed so that they'll stay. And once it does grow back and it's nice and full, it may even grow longer. It may even have a longer life cycle. It may have just kind of died, you know, sooner than it should have, just because it got kind of, you know, nasty. It started to absorb the moisture, and it could have been because, you know, it just got dried out. Same thing with my facial hair. I oil it every day and every night, morning and evening, at least twice a day. And I get a bristle brush. I have a little comb, and the comb, crazy enough, the bristle brush, you know, it gets it nice and shiny, and it feels good. But the comb, the little plastic comb that I use for my beard, gets all of these little white skin dander out of my skin. You know, it just comes out just like a dog. It's crazy. But now I have no bumps. My skin never itches underneath my facial hair. My facial hair stays clean. It never, you know, like, you know, so I'm actually like growing out my hair and my facial hair finally, because I can, first of all. It never used to grow in so full. But anyways, but more as research too, personal research, because a lot of the stuff that I'm teaching about the dog skin and coat, keeping it oiled, keeping it brushed, not shampooing so much. You know, if you do shampoo, make sure you follow up with the conditioner and oils and moisturizers, and brushing often. I'm following my own advice with my own skin, and it's a completely different experience. I don't get itchy anymore. I don't get bumps anymore. I don't get ingrown hairs. So it's the same thing with our dogs. So Chinese Tatum, your dog's brown hair, first of all, if you pull it out and then as the new hairs come in, you keep brushing it, it will lay nicely because you're training it to lay nicely. Just like my facial hair, you know, sometimes it gets all unruly. I have to constantly brush it down and keep it trained to stay down. So it's the same thing with your dog's beard as well. Triple Lotus. Oh my goodness. How are you, Triple Lotus? Thank you so much for joining. Okay. Leon, what's up, Leon? How are you? And happy early birthday, by the way. Hey, it's been a while since I seen you live. Always busy with work when you're live. You know, and I totally get it. Don't feel bad, Leon. I mean, I'm working usually. I feel kind of bad because, and I know Facebook drama is like the stupidest kind of drama, but past few days, I'm usually really good about whenever I get like birthday notifications saying happy birthday to people. I missed a few, and I can't even remember who it was. And when I try to go back, it doesn't show like, you know, a week ago's birthday that you missed. It just shows like maybe yesterday's. So I don't even know. And then my birthday came up, and I was like worried that, oh my goodness, I hope people don't think, you know, I expect them to say happy birthday to me when I forgot to say happy birthday to them on Facebook. You know, oh my goodness. So basically, Leon, don't worry about it. I get it. We all get busy. Yeah, this whole social media drama, it's great. I love being able to connect with people and share. I love reading test updates just to kind of see what everyone's up to. But I think on the other side, you know, sometimes miscommunications and misunderstandings can happen, you know, just because it's not face to face, which is why I like this live. Okay, Daniel Brown. What's up, Daniel Brown? Brenda Joanne, I'm surprised to learn that 1¼ inches is the longest comb attachment. I want to have her 2 inches in winter. I just got all the grooming tools. I found the video on scissors over a comb. Yeah, and Brenda, if you want it 2 inches, yeah, I usually just kind of, anyone that wants it like more than 1¼ inch, that longest comb, I think it's an F comb, I believe, because I have an E comb. So I think F comb is the biggest one I've seen so far. But anyways, the 1¼ inch comb is the longest one that we have to put on our clippers. So anything more than that, you really have to hand scissor. And it's once you get the scissor control down and you understand moving just your thumb and not your, so it's the ring finger and your thumb, and then you're moving just your thumb and not your ring finger. And that kind of gets a little bit, you know, it's easy for me now, but in the beginning, it's kind of hard to train your hand to stay still, because this is what you want to do, like alligator, rather than just let it come up. Because if you move it like this, you're gonna bounce, and it's gonna get a lot of dips and choppy, you know, finish. But if you train your hand to stay still and only your thumb move, it acts like a guide blade, and that's what they literally call it, a guide blade, the one that stays still. And you can see where you're cutting, and boom, you can just make a straight, nice, smooth, even cut. So it's just going to take time and practice. And if you want to master anything, it takes at least 10,000 hours. That's from the book Outliers. But anyways, Vera Rami, I need to get a good groomer in Wisconsin. Yeah, you know, and the thing is, I think it's just doing your footwork, and just kind of interviewing groomers, taking the time to, you know, ask them some questions and get a good feel for them, and really just kind of seeing their work. And good groomers usually come with a good reputation. You know, and we're usually booked, because I know I can't take a new client right now. So, you know, if you want a good groomer, um, this one lady, I forget her name, Judy. She owns Posh Paws Mobile Grooming in Texas. But anyway, she said, if you want a good groomer, you have to be willing to pay for it and wait for it. So any good groomer in your area that comes with a great reputation, usually you're gonna have to pay a little higher price and like a premium, you know, and it might be a little sticker shock at first. But then when you see them actually working, then hopefully you'll see the value in it. And then you also have to wait for it, because they usually have a waiting list, because they're booked out. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, good luck with that. And if you find somebody in Wisconsin that's really good, let me know. That way, if anybody else asks, you know, I'll have somebody to recommend. God's Lady First. Signed in on time. Great analogy. Perfect. Perfect. Awesome, God's Lady First. Thank you so much. Leon Harewood. Leon, I've been looking at doing an online grooming course. Do you think it makes sense I do it even though I have 3 years experience? A funny thing is, yesterday, one of my like favorite clients, her name is Valerie. She was like, I think it's just so amazing that somebody at your level, somebody like you, is actually signed up to go take classes, you know, and learn more from other people. You should be teaching the classes. And I was like, I cracked up. I was like, what, you know? And the crazy thing is, if you would have caught me in the beginning of my grooming career, when I first opened up my shop and I went to take these grooming classes just to get a certificate to put on my wall, I would have said, yeah, I should be teaching some of these classes. I can't, you know, what are these people going to teach me? You know, I know I'm Jun the Groomer, you know, I would have been like that. But having experienced everything I experienced, and especially that first time I went to the classes and just being blown away and realizing that I don't even know what I don't know, like I'm clueless to everything that I don't even know that I don't know. You know, okay, this is a great time to show you the circle of knowledge. Okay, and to Leon, to answer your question really quick, yes, it's worth it. Even if you have 20 years experience, you know, 3 years experience, come on, man. You know, even if you had 30 years experience, you can always learn more. And here's a crazy thing. If there was a very new groomer, like 0 years experience, and she was teaching a class called my experiences, my journey into the transition of becoming a dog groomer from a corporate career job, you know, I would probably take that, you know, just because I may learn something from her new perspective that I didn't think about before, or maybe even relate to something that maybe I wasn't able to articulate in a way that she did, but I felt the same way, you know. I could even learn something from at City Dog Market. I learned a little trick from a girl that works at one of these pet shops that had a self-wash area. A little tip from her. You know, I mean, I'm constantly learning. So yes, Leon. And just really quick for everybody, I figure while I have this board up, might as well take advantage of it. But here's a circle of knowledge. So here, this circle here represents everything that there is to know. So everything that there is to know is here in this circle. We know about 10%. Maybe 10% is here, but we know about 10%. Okay, so out of everything that there is to know, we know about 10%. I think that's being very generous, actually, but we know about 10%, probably less, right? Another 10% represents what we know we don't know. So I know that I don't know about deep space. I know I don't know about what happens underwater, you know, in the sea. Things like that, about rocket science, you know, things like that. I know I'm not a rocket scientist, but I understand that I don't know about rocket science, right? So the rest of this circle, 80%. So 80% of knowledge, all the knowledge that there is to know, is what we don't even know that we don't know. So 10% represents what we do know. Another 10% represents what we know we don't know. And then the other 80% is what we don't even know that we don't even know, you know? So Leon, whether it's an online course, whether it's a in-person course, whether it's a weekend seminar, whatever it is, I say go if you can. I understand like life, other responsibilities. We can always make the time or maybe the financial sacrifice to take these courses or, you know, these classes and workshops. But if we can and we don't, now that's inexcusable, in my opinion. You know, could, should, don't. Could, should, won't. That's the recipe for disaster. And that's Jim Rohn. I just quoted Jim Rohn right there. But anyways, God's lady first. Preparation before presentation. Oh my goodness. Calling me out. Yes. And the thing is, I do try to prepare it in my mind, you know, but it was my birthday the other day. I'm sorry, but yeah, enough with the excuses. Next time I'll try to prepare a little bit better. Maybe what I'll do is actually do like a little YouTube video and with music and actually make it like a professional presentation. But this is the first time I've ever actually presented it. This is just kind of an idea that my wife and I were brainstorming. So you guys really got the very first reveal of the Golden Triangle of Grooming. So I guess, yeah, let me know what you think. God's lady first. I'm sorry about all the hiccups and everything. I'll do better preparing next time. But yeah, let me know what you think about the actual content, and then I'm gonna try to edit it better, and maybe make another video like in a library room or something like that. Cat Brenda, Oster brand makes a 2-inch cone clay. Oh, nice. Wow. Yeah, and I'm sure if you look for it, you may be able to find a 2-inch. Because if they have 2-inch comb attachments for human clippers, you may be able to just buy the human clipper comb attachments and put it on the Andes clippers, or whatever clippers that you have. Because the blades, I think they do work on both clippers. It's just the numbers are flipped and different. Daniel Brown, dog, emoticons. Brenda Joanne, I heard a tip for shampooing a dog. Take the amount of shampoo you need in your hand, mix it in a container of warm water slowly, then pour the diluted soap all over the dog, and it will set up easily. Brenda Joanne, love the triangle. Oh, perfect. I was so glad somebody likes the triangle. But yeah, that sounds like a really good idea, actually. And the thing is, I always dilute it. Because the shampoos that I buy come concentrated in a gallon form, and I dilute it in my dilution bottles that have like the dilution ratio lines already drawn in. So it's like a cheat. And then, fill the rest up with water, shake it up, and that's how I do it. But and here's the thing. Because shampoo, and I learned this from Michelle Knowles. Michelle Knowles out in Cave Creek, Arizona. Thank you so much. She told me that because hair is fibrous, it absorbs most of what it comes in contact first. So if we put shampoo, even the diluted shampoo, and put it on the dog first, the hairs are going to absorb that shampoo and the detergents and the stripping agents most, right? And so what we want to do is get the dog wet first with water. So that's the importance of getting the dog wet before you lather the shampoo in, because when you get the dog wet, the hair fibers are going to absorb the water mostly. So it's going to fill up with water, push the dirt out, and then the shampoo, rather than being absorbed by the hair fibers, because those hair fibers already filled up with the water first, the shampoo just kind of cleans the outside, and then the conditioner will seal everything back up. So a great tip right there, because I actually, to save time, I was like, the shampoo's diluted anyways. Might as well just save time and just squirt it directly onto the dog. And that's what I was doing for a little bit. But then Michelle Knowles, she pointed out that you probably want the hair to absorb the water first and fill up with that, and push the dirt and the little cellular debris, push it all out to the surface because it's filled up with water now, and then have the shampoo wash everything out rather than have the hair absorb too much shampoo. I hope I said that, easy enough to understand. Andrea Berta, that's good info, June. I'll take these tips. Awesome. Momo, yes, the triangle makes perfect sense. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad it makes sense to people, because you never know, like in your own mind something might make sense, and then you present it and then people are like, are you feeling all right? um, Triple Lotus, those analogies were very helpful and made sense. Thank you so much, Triple Lotus. I'm just so happy that you're still involved with my channel, because I mean, it's easy to lose interest, right? Oh my goodness. But over the years, like, wow, we're like pals. Thank you so much, Triple Lotus. God's Lady First. Looking forward to next week. Oh my goodness, yes. And next week is, I don't want to jinx anything, knock on wood, but next week is hopefully going to be amazing, because the reason why I hesitate to give dog behavior advice, even though you see me on my videos, I can handle aggressive dogs. I can handle dogs that are uncooperative, fearful, whatever it is. But it's like going to my friend's house. I can get there, but I can't tell anyone else how to get there because I don't know the street names, So Ian knows the street names, and so he knows how to explain how to get from point A to point B with the dog that is uncooperative, and not really behaving the way you would want them to while you're handling sharp objects near their face. So I'm really excited about next week's episode. Michael Sotobaum, can you post your groom triangle on later on? Yes. Can you please post your grooming triangle closer to the screen? Oh my goodness. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and make because I'm getting really good feedback and everyone's saying that the grooming triangle makes sense. I'm gonna go ahead and make another grooming video where it's like, you know, more concise, more organized, and the grooming triangle will be more, you know, um, easy to see, I guess, and simple to understand. So Michael Soderbaum, thank you so much for even your interest in the grooming triangle. But yeah, I'm gonna make another video for it. And let me see here, Michael Soderbaum, go to channel. Okay, so Michael, I've just gone to your channel. I'm gonna go ahead and you know, save your information, and I'll make sure to tag you on the video of the grooming triangle. Thank you so much, Michael. Leon, I'm in motion of opening my own grooming salon. I know you managed your own before, going mobile, house calls. What's the hardest part in running a salon? So when I opened up my own grooming salon, the hardest part for me was the overhead. I just was not prepared for all of the money that it took to actually run the salon. And that's not including the equipment, the tools, the tables, you know, the tubs and the inventory, the shampoos and all of that. That's not including that. I'm talking about just base rent was 5,000 a month for me. Well, close to it. And not in the beginning. They structured it where it kind of worked up to that after a few months. But anyways, base rent you have to cover. So that's just money right off the top. Whatever you've earned for the month, the rent for the shop is just money that just goes out just for using the space, okay? And you have to cover that every month minimum. Then you have the tax and the CAM. So CAM is common area maintenance, and I don't know how it works in the Trinidad, but I'm guessing they're gonna charge you some sort of fee to maintain the place and keep it clean and things like that. And then also tax for that space. And tax, speaking of tax, they tax you for hiring somebody, they tax you for paying that person that you hired, they tax you for every decision that you make pretty much. I remember one time my wife, I'm grooming, stressed, you know, trying to make everything work. And my wife's like, hey, you know, honey, the CPA just emailed us and he's saying that we owe sales tax and he needs our sales tax report, how much we collected in sales tax. And I was like, oh, easy. We don't collect sales tax. We're a service industry. I don't have any retail. I don't sell anything. So I was like, you know, great. That's one tax I don't have to worry about. Not like maybe 5 minutes later, she goes, honey, he just emailed me back and he said that since we don't collect sales tax, we owe a non-sales tax. It's a flat fee. I just started cracking up. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This has got to be a joke, right? I mean, so you know, if you collect sales tax, you owe that, obviously, because it's sales tax. If you don't collect sales tax, you got to pay a tax on that. You know, it's like, oh my goodness, can I breathe over there without paying a tax? You know. Just everything. Unexpected expenses even come up. Things break down. Yeah. So and for me, whenever I injured a dog, if we had to take him to the vet, this only happened one time. Accidentally cut a poodle right on the nose. But anyways, you know, took him to the vet, paid the vet bill. So unexpected expenses come up and things like that. So for me, the hardest part of running a salon was the business and making sure all the numbers matched up. Because I was like, oh, you know, we need the rent is 5,000 a month. We'll make 20,000 a month. You know, we'll be millionaires. It just didn't, you know, my brain doesn't work that way. So yeah, I mean, so I lost the shop, and for me, it was more. I mean, like it was crazy because in less than 2 years, I went in debt over $50,000, about $50,000. And, you know, like, I was like, wow, I could have sat on the couch eating potato chips and I probably wouldn't have went in debt that much. You know, I didn't have to work so hard to go in debt. But anyways, that's another story. But yeah, Leon, if you were to ask me though, would I do it all over again, knowing what I went through and how much stress and everything, how scary it was, I would say yes, I would do it again in a heartbeat, because I'm a completely different person now than I was back then. And I don't think that I could have changed or would have changed unless those experiences happened the way that they did. So yeah. Leon, I'm not going to tell you what to do. So when it comes to opening up your own salon or your own business, I say don't do it, because why would you risk, so much, and going through so much? You could lose it all, and it could be so embarrassing. So don't do it unless you're going to do it. Then just do it. That's my advice. And now I found a business model that works for me. And this model probably wouldn't work for other groomers, but that's okay, because I'm not competing with anyone else. I'm not comparing myself to anybody else. So I found a business model now that works for me. So by opening your salon, I hope it's a success, but if it's not, you're still going to learn a better way that works for you. And so I forget who said it, but there's this quote, take risks, because if you win, you'll feel great. You won. If you succeed, you're a winner. You have victory. If you lose, if you fail, you'll grow wiser. So either way, you win. So take the risk, in my opinion. But now, if you do take the risk and you open up the shop and you start struggling and everything, don't email me. So really make the decision for yourself, Leon. And it sounds like you already have. Sounds like you've pretty much decided you're going to open up the shop. But yeah, and if you're not business minded, have somebody business minded working with you. That's preferably not your wife, because it's easier to take the advice of somebody who is not your wife than your wife. Because my wife is much more business minded than me, and there's a lot of times we clashed, and a lot of times, had it been someone else, not my wife, I think maybe, you know, I would have like considered it, but I got argumentative and defensive because this is my wife. It's emotional. So, but hey, we got through it. We're both alive. Okay, next question here. Momo, is it okay to keep my Shih Tzu's long eyelashes, or should they be cut short with his haircut? Now, that's a great question, Momo. I have a few clients who have the eyelashes growing out ever since I started grooming them. This was back like 4 years ago. So for 4 years now, and I moved away and I came back and the eyelashes are still there. So I'm sure they told the next groomer while I was gone, don't cut the eyelashes. But anyways, I've never experienced any problems with it. My own dog Weemy, we grow his eyelashes out. In one of the videos I made, I accidentally cut a little bit of it, and my wife, let me know. She let me hear about that. But anyways, I've never had any trouble or anything bad happen with having the eyelashes grown out long. But there are some groomers who say that the eyelashes shouldn't be long because it causes eye problems and irritations and things like that. For me, it just has to make sense in my own mind for me to accept anything. I've always been that way, much to my mom's, like, I guess, frustration. But anyways, I've always just questioned things, and it just had to make sense to me in order for me to do something. If it didn't make sense to me, I would rather just not do it. That's just always been my thing. So I just leave it to the owner's preference. If the owners like me to cut it short, I cut it short. If they like me to grow it long, I just leave them long. And also, if you want to keep your the eyelashes long, it's called the grooming table, the series that I made using my dog Weemy. The head and the ears or something like that, But anyways, grooming the round head. In that video, I show how to trim around the eyelashes to really make them pop out. So anyways, if you want to watch that video. Georgina Amaya, how do you pull the hair inside the ears? Thank you. Happy birthday. Thank you so much. So Georgina, oh my goodness. So Christina Pulaski, one of the groomers I really admire a lot, she just started a Facebook page with another groomer, a friend of hers named Judy Hudson. And these two are very accomplished grooming icons pretty much. And they just did a video on that Facebook page where Christina Pulaski was talking about ear plucking. And basically you just want to do a little bit at a time and use some powder. If you don't have powder, cornstarch, but just when you want to get your fingers dry and the hairs dry so that you can pull them out, you can grip them and pull them easier rather than, just tug on them. and you want to pull a little bit at a time. You don't want to grab a bunch and pull a lot at once, because that can cause the skin to turn red. And I think she called it ulcerations of the skin, and that's not a good thing. So, and it causes the dog a lot of pain. So you just want to be gentle and go slow and just pull a little bit at a time. But Georgina, thank you so much for that question. And I'll see if I can put a link to the Facebook page I was talking about, the grooming professors, and put it in the description here. Charnice Tatum, thank you for your help. Thank you so much for joining, Charnice. I really appreciate you. Daniel Brown. Daniel Brown, next week I will have an answer for you. Alan Powell, perfect. Alan Powell, I like sculpting with thinners. And you know who else likes sculpting with thinners is Jonathan David. And Jonathan David is another groomer that I really admire. And he's down in Florida, I think Boca Raton. He has a salon down there. He was in Groomer Has It. But anyways, he has a pair of scissors that he, like, almost like Jordans, you know, like Jordan shoes. He has Kenchi shears that he makes, I guess, or, you know, designs. They're his shears. It has a name on it. But anyways, yeah, I saw him do demos on Bijans. He does the entire Bijan with thinners and blenders and chunkers. It's amazing. Daniel Brown, good dogs also. God's Lady First, just try the scissor hand technique. I was all alligator. Didn't realize how much goes into your craft. Thanks. Oh my goodness, awesome. God's Lady First, I'm so glad that you know that came in handy. And that's the crazy thing. It's like I don't even know that these things are useful and helpful for people. That's awesome. Thank you. Andrea Berta, my little guy Pepper, miniature schnauzer, has never looked so good. I started doing it myself since watching your videos. Wow. I think I'm helping his health too. You are helping his health. And that's the thing. More importantly than the way they look is the way that they feel. You know, because they feel great, they're going to look great, because health is beauty. Thank you for your inspiration. Well, thank you, Andrea, so much, because this inspires me. You are my inspiration. Oh my God. Okay, so Daniel Brown. Daniel Brown, how old are you, by the way? Because we've been having a lot of these conversations these past few episodes, and I'm starting to question your age. But anyway, it doesn't matter, because I know that there's like there's an 11-year-old that was giving me some advice. I actually wrote a blog about it. But yeah, I mean, I know I have all range age groups, but Daniel, thank you so much for joining all the way from New Zealand. God's Lady First, the prep comment was a compliment. Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, you were telling me to, okay. The prep comment was a compliment. This is God's Lady First. Your talk, awesome. All the analogies, diagrams, attention to the needs of the viewers. Great job. Wow. I was referring prep the dog for good and outcome present. Exactly. If you want a good outcome, if you want a good result, that's going to stand the test of time. Then you have to spend more time in the prep. Brenda Joanne, I do drench her in water before shampoo. Perfect. Now I want to now I want a beer too. Next week we will have beer. Exactly. And I prefer IPA only because the hops that are in the beer are the natural preservatives. They don't have any artificial preservatives because the hops are the preservatives. So that's why it tastes bitter, because the hops and the hop. Anyways, I got into that a couple weeks ago. God's Lady First. Okay, no, this is Brenda Joanne saying God's Lady First, and I must learn thumbs only. Yes, thumbs only. Yeah, you want to keep that ring finger still. God's Lady First, take risks. If you win, you'll be happy. If you lose, you'll be wise. That was the quote. Unknown. Okay, so yeah, I didn't know exactly who the author was. But yeah, I love that quote. Take risks. If you win, you'll be happy. If you lose, you'll be wise. And I've done a lot of losing for the past 6 years, which is probably why people call me wise, right? Live your life as a failure and fail enough, and eventually you become an expert at it. People will start asking you, hey, what should I avoid? Okay. God's Lady First. Yes, Brenda Joanne, all thumbs up. Exactly. Speaking of thumbs, Look at that. Somebody actually pointed that out to me. They were like, why does your thumb bend back like that? It's like, I don't know. But I've always just had thumbs that just kind of bend back like that. It's weird. So I don't know. Maybe I have like a little advantage with that wiggly curved thumb there. I don't know. But Momo, thank you so much. I'll definitely watch the video. Perfect. And just let me know what you think, because I know the videos aren't like high quality videos. Georgiana Amaya, thank you. I use my fingers. I don't like to use exactly. I use my fingers too. I don't like to use the hemostat. And Christina Pulaski actually mentions that in that video on her groomer page. She's like, if you get hemostats and like twirl the hair around it and just yank it out, you can cause a lot of damage to the skin. Cat Ferrano, hops. Yes, exactly, the hops. Oh my goodness, Daniel Brown, you're 30? You're 30 years old. Wow. So, I mean, that kind of stuns me. I wasn't expecting that. But Daniel Brown, amazing. 30 years old. Awesome. Maybe it's the kind of language barrier and things like that. Are you using like, you know what? I shouldn't even be going down this road. Let me just retract, back up a little bit. Well, here's the reason why. Here's the reason why, Daniel. I don't want you to think that I'm talking down to you. It's just because like whenever I see people like doing. Okay, well, my daughter is 8 years old. Okay, and my 8-year-old just got a phone. My brother bought it for her birthday. And she texts me, and she's always using a lot of emoticons and like a lot of one-word messages. So that's the only reason why I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of my daughter. So I was thinking maybe he's like 8, 9 years old. Okay, I feel really embarrassed. I'm sorry, Daniel. And if you're not really 30, if you really are like 10 years old and you're messing with me, God's Lady First, great show, perfect. Before I start to digress and totally crash and burn here, let me go ahead and end it. It's 10 o'clock. I'm so happy that everybody liked it. So Daniel Brown, I am going to next week get to your question about sun cream on dogs. What sort of sunblock options are safe for dogs? I never even considered that. Great question, Daniel Brown. I'm gonna get to you. And you're 30 years old in New Zealand. you're my favorite viewers. I hope I didn't offend you. Okay, so anyways, Daniel Brown, I'm gonna get to your question next week. Also, we're gonna have Ian King. He is a dog behaviorist and a dog training expert, and so he's gonna weigh in on his opinions and kind of his recommendations and suggestions on different problems that you may be having with dog behavior while you're grooming. And hold on, if there's anything else. Oh, perfect. God's Lady First, you're 51 years old. Wow. The amazing thing is my mom, she was born in 1957, so she is now 60 years old. And I asked my mom, because I just turned 36. I was like, what were you doing when you were 36 again? And she was like, when we were 36, we just moved down to Kentucky from New Jersey. And she was, we were all cleaning buildings at night. She was running a alteration store. I was in middle school. My brother was in high school. She was like, she was really taking care of everything and just taking huge risks, and like she doesn't even speak English as well. Like, wow. I was thinking, compared to her, I really don't have my life together. At 36 years old, she was doing so much more with so much less resources. It's like I should almost feel embarrassed at where I'm at in my life at 36 years old. But yeah, it's just different. It's just really different. But yeah, 51, I bet you have a lot of experiences that you could probably share with us. Triple Lotus, thanks. Great. Thank you so much, Triple Lotus. Thank you so much for joining me. Carol B, thank you, June. Happy birthday. Thank you so much. And I put in the description here, I really thought at 36 years old, and when I was a kid, I just thought that people in their 30s, something somehow changed in their brain and they just became adults and they just knew. They just got it. They just, I was like, wait a minute. Now that I'm 36, I realize everyone's pretending to know what Nobody knows what's going on. Anyways, um, Brenda Joanne, thank you so much, Brenda. Georgina, 49, and you just started grooming at 49 years old. Wow, amazing. And here's the thing: if you're 49, if you put in about 5 to 6 years of just really focusing on every single dog that you groom and trying to be, best your best, always best your best, and trying to do better every day, within 5 to 6 years, you will be master level. I mean, I'm a perfect example. And I'm a guy that trips over everything. I'm a klutz, and I've now gotten to the point where I feel very confident in my grooming skills. And you will get to that point in about 5 to 6 years. So that means at about 55, um, you'll be pretty much master level groomer, if you put in every single day, if you put in the time and you put in the honest effort. And my mom, she's 60 years old. She's still got her shop. She's going at it every day, So yeah, I mean, we really do. We have more time than I think we give ourselves. But then again, on the flip side, even the longest life is short, in comparison. So yeah, on the flip side, we don't really have that much time. So at 49, yeah, it's a great thing that you did start grooming, because this might be the thing that you were really born to do, that really gives you a sense of fulfillment, you know. I'm happy for you, Georgina. Welcome to the grooming community. Oh, Georgina, a good group to join if you just started grooming is Groomers Uplifting Groomers. It's a Facebook page called Groomers Uplifting Groomers. I'll look out for your name. If I see a request coming in from you to join that group, I'll approve it. Well, I don't know but sometimes I'm not an admin on there or anything, but I just noticed that on the Facebook groups that I'm joined in, if a new person requests, it sends me a notification, and if I know them, then I can add them to the group. So yeah, Georgina, if that happens and I see your name, I'll approve you. But Groomers Uplifting Groomers. Juan Carlos Miranda. Hey, my dog is straight hair and he has major dreadlocks. Is it possible for it to be straight again without shaving? It is, but it's going to take a lot of time, days. And also, your dog may not have the tolerance for it. The pain threshold that your dog can handle, it may be too much. So that's why groomers recommend, once it's dreaded, let's just go ahead and shave it, do what's best for the dog, and brush and maintain the coat better as it grows in. And we say humanity before vanity. So even though it may not look nice to have your dog shaved down, sometimes when your dog has major dreadlocks and it's matted everywhere, rather than put your dog through so much pain for such a long period of time, it really is best to just go ahead and shave it down and then start over, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion. And even if you were a paying customer, I would tell you the same thing. And if you told me, no, I really want you to try to save the coat, I would tell you, like, I'll give it a shot. But if your dog tells me that it's enough and it doesn't want to do it anymore, then I'm not going to do it. So, but I'll always give it an honest shot. Oh, God's Lady First. Thank you so much, God's Lady First. Thank you. Andrea Berta, I love how you're willing to show your humanness, make you relatable. Happy belated. Oh, thank you so much. The thing is, I always wish I was like more cool and calm and collected and just more charismatic, I guess. But I'm uncomfortable with who I am now. But thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so glad that you feel like it's makes me more relatable. Georgina Amaya, I just requested. Thank you for your Oh, awesome. I don't have my phone on me, so if I see it, I'll definitely approve you. Okay. Last comment before I go. Sorry, I'm getting kind of dry. My throat's getting kind of dry. I'm glad you mentioned using your fingers rather than hemostat. Much better. Perfect. And this is talking about the ear plucking. Kathy Brennan says, I'm glad you mentioned using your fingers rather than a hemostat. Much better. My old groomer who was teaching me Use the hemostat and used to yank the hair out. Pups would squeal, not nice. Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. And I completely forgot. Last week, I took a screenshot of all the questions that I didn't get to. Was that last week? Oh my goodness. I've been so crazy busy. But the good news is I got a little bit of time tomorrow, so I'll go through and prepare a little bit better for next week's show. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another hour of Ask Jun the Groomer Live. I hope it was worth it. And remember, until next time, brush more, bathe less. Thank you so much.